Whakarango ki au te tangi o te manu, tui a. Tui ai runga, tui ai raro, tui ai roto, tui ai wā. Tihei Māori ora. Ko tōna rangatira ki tai mai ki te enei hui, haere mai, horo mai, welcome to everybody. The question is saying, what is Sodet Whanau and how it began? Sodet Whanau is a simple financial literacy program designed to make people change the way they manage and use money. A program that teaches whānau to manage money properly so that they are able to save money for their family needs. How it begins, there were meetings after meetings between Raukura, Naura Tainui, the Commission for Financial Capability, the Awaora Trust, and Malates International, which is the research company, to finalize the final copy of the program. From the information gathered from the final needs assessment in partnership with the Commission for Financial Capability and Naukura Ora Tainui, financial capability education program for Maori and Pacific gambling whānau in the recovery phase of the treatment started. The 10-week program started on the 7th of May 2015, held at the Raukura Hauora Tainui, facilitated by the staff from the Commission for Financial Capability, the Awaora Trust, and the gambling team from Raukura. There were 10 whānau involved with the first program. I now hand over to Trish to continue.
Kia ora whānau. So, with our 10-week program, we always start with whanaungatanga. So with that whanaungatanga, it's not just what you engaged in this morning, it also includes getting our whānau to talk about their individual journeys, narratives from whānau, narratives from ourselves. What was life like growing up? What did they learn about money when they were growing up? What does it mean to them? And how have your life experiences shaped you? We also use the tree analogy instead of the iceberg. So our people are from the Pacific. We don't have an iceberg, but we do have lots of trees. So those are the sorts of things that we would incorporate in our program so that our whānau would actually engage. Because there's nothing worse than talking about yourself instead of giving them the opportunity to share how it is that they got to the position that they were in. Now I need to also include the fact that when they came to this program, they'd already finished the 10-week community program. Now that program was designed to hit their triggers, so that by the time that they had gotten to this program, they dealt with the gambling, they dealt with any AOD issues, they got rid of all the hara that was weighing them down, and then they were open to talking about their money, because nobody wants to sit there and talk about how they spend their money, whether it's wisely or unwisely. So, this is another thing we did. Go back. We introduced the spending diary. So the spending diary, this is just a short glimpse of what we did. So the spending diary looked at the day. What did you do that day? Did you go and buy coffee? Did you buy a pie? Did you pay your bills? Little things. We also asked them, put the date, put the item that you spent, you purchased, and then the amount of money that you spent. And then the emotion that also went along with that. So were you spending emotionally? As you see up there, for myself, this is just a glimpse of a day. The coffee and the pie, did I really need those things? No, I didn't. That's why there's actually a sad face there. The mortgage, did I pay my mortgage? Yes. Did that make me happy? Yes. But why? Because it wasn't just for me, it was for my whānau. Alright? A simple thing like a sleeping bag, so my son could go to camp. Was that a waste of money? No, because that was for him. It wasn't a personal thing, it was a need for him, it wasn't a want. And then of course, add it up. So how much did you end up spending on that day? And then also look at that. So I had some mixed emotions on that spending. Some of it was about, wasn't that bad, and other times it was pretty happy. So we've actually got some handouts. I'll give that to you later. So it's just for you yourself to do your own little spending diary. Now these we put into little notebooks, nothing fancy. I know that the commission ended up making these massive booklets and they're really cool to look at. They're clunky. It's not something you can just stick in your bag or in your pocket. So can you wave yours around, Alexia? Something as simple as that little notebook.
I put it pretty.
Look, she's blinged it up.
I climbed it up.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with a bit of bling. So these, we never asked our whānau to bring their books out. We were never about checking them. This was for their own accountability. What else did we do? Money influences, the hidden things that influence our spending. So for that, we got people to identify and determine their needs versus their wants. Money influences like going to the casino. What influences their spending while they're in there? What was the environment like? Was it that dark, dingy atmosphere? Were there no clocks? Because back then there weren't these sorts of things in there, right? So we asked them to look at that. We also asked them to look at dairies. When you go to a local dairy and it's got 2 for 1, do you really need 2 items? Did you go there for 1 and end up walking out with 2 because you thought you were getting a really good deal? Advertising. We asked whānau to look at the advertising that's out there. Is it capturing them because of the bright colours and the message that you're getting, once again, a good deal, but you're not in the long run. Cultural obligations. That was a big one, especially for our Pacifica whānau. So it was hard for them to, for us to say to them, oh, well, you know, when you have these funerals and things, consider giving less money, because in reality what we were saying to them, and this was the feedback we were getting from them, is their cultural obligations, whether it was church or a tangi, anything like that was an act of aroha for them. So for us to say to them, oh, don't do that, was actually really disrespectful. And that was the sort of feedback that we needed to hear. So instead of doing that, we just asked them, are there other ways that you could do it that didn't impact on you or that didn't send you into the loan shops? So, the money journey. How to make good decisions and set goals you can achieve. So we're going to do a little activity. So can we get people into groups, whether it's a group of 4 or it's up to you guys. Yep. So with the money journey, every journey starts with a plan. So how do you prepare? Just jump into a group, you'll be right. All right, just jump in. Come on, Audrey, I know they watch you over there. Look, there's all those beautiful ladies.
One marker?
One marker. They're not clean. Can you grab a tissue off the table? They should just come off. Yeah. So this is going to be a really simple activity. We do have rules for our game. So are we ready? Okay, so this is the scenario. You're going to live on a deserted island for 12 months. There is no one there but you. The island has enough water to last you for 6 months. You can choose from the list supplied 16 items to take with you. So circle those 16 items. You've got 30 seconds to pick 16 items. And we're going to count down. 30 seconds.
What is it, clean?
Counting down on
We need a first and foremost,
Oh, time's ticking on, please. Oh, it's very important. 16 items.
medication. Oh, fancy guys. I'm not looking at you.
What about some food?
Lock it down.
Chicken.
Oh, that's 4. You've got 10 more seconds.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0.
Okay, time's up. And I hope you've marked your 16 items. Are we ready? Okay. Come on, people. Come on. Yep. Yep. 16 over there. Oh my goodness.
Maybe chicks they provide.
They make maybe eggs. How's bigger? Yeah.
All right, are we ready now?
Two.
All right.
2 more minutes.
9 more minutes. You gotta think under pressure in this place. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yep, got 16 there. 16. Oh, come on, Asian families.
They get really technical.
Oh.
For 6 months, they said.
It depends how people are on
I bet you little will drown
Oh
by
my
now.
gosh, I'm telling you.
like how are we gonna
Yeah, well,
Okay, all right. Got everybody's attention? Hello? Guess what? There's been a storm. It's come through and it's taken 8 of those items. Please cross out 8 of those 16 items. Go. Oh, come on. Once again, time limit. You've got your 30 seconds.
Check the clothes. Endless toilet paper. Why do we need endless toilet paper? We've got no toilet. We can just be there ourselves.
Count it down.
Yeah, take out the crockery.
Yeah.
And then I forget. Yeah, follow out the coconut.
We still got 1
12.
The tree seedling?
10. We've got 10 more seconds, people. 9, 8, 7,
Nah, I think we can get rid of it. How many did you get rid of?
5,
Because they've got to cook.
4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's it, people. That's it. Oh, okay. So have you managed to figure out which ones you're keeping? Because your name is a zip, right? Yes, they all wash away.
Yeah. We can use coconut.
But we probably should need people to
And if you kill the cow, you want to keep it as well. Dry it.
2 seconds.
Oh, Papa Sylvia's 20 seconds left.
18
Oh,
seconds.
18 now.
we can get 6
One
stops.
team's finished over here.
6
It's finished over here.
We only get 4.
4 left.
1, 2, 3.
2.
Why do you, Charlie, we keep it the
This
tree.
team's done. Oh, that was number 4.
Nice, all done, everyone's done.
Oh, that's it, that's it. Okay. Now, can I get the team over there, since you finished first,
Yeah.
top team? Can you please read out the 4 items that you have left?
Okay, everybody listen to this. Listen.
So we have clean water and blanket, mattress and first aid kit. Oh yeah. Next team. Marisa, what has your team got?
Okay, we pretty much have the same. So we've got the clean water, stove, matches, and blankets.
Thank you. Our amazing Asian families, what have you got?
I've got cow, blanket, matches, and clean water purification.
Thank you. People, what have you got left over there, my friend?
That's alright, I'm loud.
We have cow, we have first aid kit, our baby chickens.
So I just want to thank you all for participating in this. You're probably thinking, what is the relevance? Right, what is the relevance of this game? Well, the relevance, my friend, is initially you started out with your desires, your wants, and your needs. Then that first storm hit. So you had to really think about it. So you looked at eliminating your desires. So then you got rid of those, you had your wants and your needs left. Then the next storm hit, and you had to chop down once again those amazing items that you'd chosen. So that was your chance to get rid of your wants. Everything that you were left with was purely needs. Now when we do this, this is about saying to our whānau, when they're going out to spend their money, are they basing it on desires? Are they basing it on wants? Are they really looking at what they need? So that's the whole idea of the deserted island game. As you felt the rush of it, we get that all the time with our whānau. They gravitate towards it. And the time frame is also something that you need to implement. So that gets you really thinking, because our whānau, when it comes to those tight spots, they really have to think, am I going to pay this bill or am I going to buy food? You know, that's a time frame. This much time to decide. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching this little scramble and curiously scribble away there.
Oh no, I'm in here,
All right. So we're back here again. So during that money journey, we also like to introduce Kat. So Kat is a person. So we introduce Kat's story. Kat has a money planner and Kat has a budget. So, what do we do next? We go to setting your goals. So setting your goals, the different kinds of debt and priorities for paying them back, achieving your goals through planning and managing debt. So this is where we introduce ATMs. Now we use the word ATM because it's, everyone knows what an ATM is, right? Everyone knows that that's where you get money from. So if you're pulling your money out of there, chances are you're going to spend something, obviously. So A stands for achievable. So we're looking at goals, right? Is your goal achievable? T, is it time bound? Have you set a time for this goal? Is it measurable? Is it specific? So you know what you want to purchase. And that includes going to do your homework. We also have time frames for these. So you have short-term goal, which may be days to weeks. You have medium-term goals, which could be 1 to 24 months. And then we have the long-term goal, which is 2 years. Now these things we apply to whether whānau want a car. So you might have somebody that wants this flash-as car, looks fantastic, but in reality, is it achievable? Have you set the time frame that you're going to purchase it? Is it measurable? Are you able to actually purchase this item? And be specific. Is it this car you want, or is it that car? Is it blue, is it green, is it orange? Be specific about what it is that you're after, if it is a colour thing. So that is our setting goals. Opening the boot. Right. When you open that boot and say, it's none of your business. Right, what is this boot? So for us, when you're opening the boot, we're looking at the different kinds of debt and priorities you have to pay them back. Sometimes, opening the boot is just like Narnia. If your boot's anything like mine, everything's in there. If I can't find something, it's probably in my boot. So for our whānau, opening the boot is actually looking at and identifying the debt. It's about digging into that yucky space that you've gone and shoved all your rubbish and actually pulling it out. So sometimes, whānau, we have to have those tough conversations with them. We have to get them to open their boot and actually reveal what it is in there. What are your debts? Have you got a priority for paying them back? Who do you owe money to? So this is also when we hand out a priority debt list. We ask them to look at their credit files. We also get them to role play talking to debtors. So if you pull something out of that boot and you've struggled with it because you've just been ignoring those phone calls, oh my gosh, I know who that is. I don't want to talk to them. Someone's coming up your driveway, knocking on your door. Oh, it's that person that I owe money to. So we have a role play and we get them to actually, in amongst their peers, one will be the person that owes the money, obviously the other person will be the one wanting their cash, and we get them to kōrero. We try and get them to work out how they can decrease the amount that they're spending, decrease the amount that they need to pay back. Instead of procrastinating, we get them to actually face it. Because it is scary, especially if you become accustomed to it, if you become accustomed to hiding your debt, and that includes to yourself. So opening Narnia and getting into that boot is a big deal, but it helps if you can actually role play and talk about it, so it's not so scary when it's actually your time to do that. Good. Back here again. So buying things, another session. Remember, this is a 10-week program, so we're spending 2 hours going over each one of these components, each of these workshops with our whānau. So buying things and what you need to know. Understanding your consumer rights, knowing that you do have rights. So when they tell you no, you can't bring something back, we encourage whānau to actually challenge it. You can pull up your consumer rights online and have a look at this stuff. You know, don't be afraid to say, no, you're wrong, and I know my rights. We also look at when you buy things, borrow money, or you buy goods on credit. So we look at those sorts of things. Your consumer rights, reading your credit contracts is probably one of the biggest things for our whānau, because nobody wants to read a big thick document with all these fancy words in it. They just want it right now. So if you tell me you're going to give me the money, show me where I need to sign and I'll sign. So we encourage our whānau. We actually pull out a credit contract and we get them to go through it themselves. As a group, go through, highlight where you see dollar signs, where you see money, where you see percentages, and then relay it back into the group, because you'll be surprised how much they actually uncover just by doing that simple exercise. So when it comes time for them to, if they have to, go and sign some of these credits, know what it is that they're looking for. Look for those pitfalls. And then we also look at why your credit rate matters. Understanding, sorry. Okay, great. So I'm winding up too. So your credit rating, understanding credit ratings, guarantors, insolvency and bankruptcy. So we do that as well. We look at those sorts of things. Especially the pitfalls around whānau coming to you and saying, can you be my guarantor? I promise I'll pay you back. Really seriously consider it. If you sign or agree to this, you are now locked into something. So we encourage whānau to think about those things. Don't just do it out of aroha, because aroha is not going to pay the bill, you are. And I know that because my daughter's name is aroha, and I'm still paying her bills. And then we have something that's fun. So we look at the aroha and appreciating each other. So those languages of love. We have, I don't know, I think we might have some of those as well. So we're going to give you handouts for the spending diary and for the appreciating each other. Now that little activity actually looks at how we may think that our partner or our kids like us to express our aroha in this way, just to find out, oh no, you're wrong. So I always thought that my partner liked gifts, but I was wrong. Once we did, him and I both did the activity, it was actually time that he appreciated more. He didn't want the gifts. He could buy his own gifts. What he wanted was me and my attention. But we also bring in the banks and and KiwiSaver, so ask the expert. So often our whānau won't go in and talk to the bank because it's a bag, it's scary. So we actually bring the bank to them. And we've had ANZ come through, we've had ASB come through, we've had Westpac come through. And they've all broken it right down for our whānau. And then finally, we have our pūpōrawaki. So we celebrate the whole journey. We celebrate each other. We celebrate what we've shared and we keep it private. What happens on tour stays on tour. So that is our amazing sort of whānau. Did I make it on time?
You did indeed. So I guess if we've got any questions, we can ask those after.